All right, let's get those brains fired up, because today we're taking a deep dive into something, well, maybe a little more interesting than it sounds at first. Briquetting machine operators.
Yeah, so many jobs out there, they might seem kind of ordinary on the surface, but
But then you dig a little deeper and
exactly.
yeah,
Fascinating stuff, really. Vital to, how the world actually works.
totally. And we're lucky because you sent us a ton of info on this from RoleCatcher. So we're going to break it all down, what it really means to do this job, what the career path's like, all that good stuff.
Sounds good.
So before we go any further, what exactly is a briquette and what makes these machines, these briquetting machines, so special?
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
You walk into a metalworking shop, right? They're making parts all day long, but, and this is the important part, metal cutting. It creates a ton of waste.
Makes sense, shavings, little bits
Yeah.
of metal, all that.
Exactly. Metal shavings, chips, you name it. And that's where the briquetting machine operator comes in. They take all that scrap, which, by the way, would usually just be, tossed out.
It's wasted.
Yeah, pretty much. But they use these powerful machines, these briquetting machines, to squish it all together, really compress it into these blocks, briquettes.
So they're like, what, giving this metal a second life instead of it just ending up in a landfill somewhere?
That's exactly it. These briquettes, think of them like concentrated metal bars. They can actually be used as fuel in some places, like smelters.
No way. So we're talking about like serious recycling here.
Oh, absolutely. Saving resources, reducing waste. Huge for the environment. It's a perfect example of that whole circular economy thing everyone's talking about.
Right, right. Trying to like minimize waste by reusing stuff as much as possible.
Exactly. And these jobs are a huge part of making that happen. Just to give you an idea, a single plant can produce tons of metal waste every single day.
Every day. Wow.
Yeah. So turning that into briquettes, it's not just saving money on disposal. It's actually reducing the need to mine new materials. Big implications there.
Okay, that is way cooler than I thought it was going to be. So someone wants to get started in this field. What's the career path look like? RoleCatcher breaks it down into a few stages, right?
Yeah, they do. It's kind of like, leveling up in a video game or something.
I like that.
But yeah, you're gaining real-world skills and responsibilities as you go.
Okay, I'm into it. So let's go through those levels. Like, what does a briquetting machine operator do at each stage?
All right, so starting out entry level, you're all about mastering the machinery, learning the ropes, how to operate everything safely and efficiently, troubleshooting, that kind of thing.
Got it. So lots of hands-on experience early on.
Definitely. But then as you move up, become a junior operator, you get more responsibility. It's not just, do this, do that anymore.
You start to think for yourself a little more.
Yeah. You're thinking critically about the whole process. Like, let's say the briquettes coming out, they're not as compact as they should be.
Uh-oh. Quality control issue.
Exactly. So a junior operator, they might start troubleshooting, checking the pressure settings. Maybe the raw materials are different that day. Could even be the machine needs a little adjusting.
Okay, so they're problem solving. I like it.
Yeah. Exactly. And that problem solving, it only gets more important as you move into, say, the intermediate operator level. That's where you might be overseeing a whole team of operators,
Yeah.
managing schedules, really digging into the data to, optimize everything.
Data. We talking like spreadsheets and charts and all that.
That's it. Production rates, material usage, even energy consumption,
Yeah.
figuring out how to make the whole operation smoother, more efficient, more sustainable. That's where the real, analytical skills come into play.
So you're not just good with your hands. You got to be good with like the numbers too.
Yeah, for sure. And then for those who really want to move up that ladder, you've got the senior briquetting machine operator position.
Yeah.
Those are the folks who've seen it all, done it all.
The veterans.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
They have this deep understanding of the whole briquetting process, start to finish. And they're the ones responsible for the big picture stuff. Long-term planning, budgets, even working with other departments to make sure everything runs smoothly.
So we're talking like a real leadership role at that point.
Absolutely.
Wow, okay. It's way more than just pushing buttons, that's for sure. So we've got what they do, how their career can go, but what about the actual skills themselves? What makes someone good at this?
Well, a lot of it is that mix of, the technical stuff and the problem solving we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But then there's also, and this might sound kind of funny, but there's an element of intuition involved.
Intuition. You mean like a sixth sense for metal shavings?
Kind of. Like, imagine a mechanic who can listen to an engine and just tell something's off, even if there's no warning light or anything. Kinda. Like, imagine a mechanic who can listen to an engine and just tell something's off, even if there's no warning light or anything. Experienced briquetting machine operators, they get that same kind of feel for the equipment.
So it's almost like they develop a sixth sense.
Yeah, kind of. They can hear something a little different in the machine's rhythm, or maybe notice the briquettes, they look a little off, and they just know something needs adjusting.
So it's not just about, like, memorizing a manual. It's about really understanding how everything works together.
Exactly. And that right there is invaluable. Those are the people who spot problems before they even become problems,
Hmm.
keep everything running smoothly.
Yeah, being able to troubleshoot like that, that's a skill you can use anywhere,
Wow,
right?
absolutely. And RoleCatcher, they actually talk about that a lot with their career compass tool.
Mm.
It's pretty cool. It helps you take the skills you learned in one job, like this one, and see how they might apply to other stuff.
Oh, interesting. So, like, what kind of stuff are we talking here?
Well, someone with this experience, right, they might find they're really good at other manufacturing jobs,
Mm.
or maybe process engineering, even. It's about being adaptive.
Makes sense. Things change so fast these days. Gotta be ready for anything.
Exactly. And that's what RoleCatcher is all about, helping you build that diverse skill set. So even if someone's thinking, well, I don't know about briquettes forever,
Maybe I'll move on to something else eventually.
right, the skills they learn along the way, those can open doors to all kinds of possibilities.
I love that. Okay, so what about this line of work, though, specifically? What's the job outlook like? Is this a career with, staying power?
That's a great question. And with all this talk about automation these days,
Makes you wonder. Yeah.
it's totally understandable to wonder about manufacturing jobs. But here's the thing. The world needs metal. Like a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of it.
still got to build stuff.
Exactly. So that demand isn't going anywhere. If anything, it'll probably just keep increasing.
So even if some jobs do get automated, you're saying there's going to be a need for people who really get the process.
100%. Plus, don't forget about the whole sustainability angle.
Yeah.
Companies are trying to be more environmentally friendly, right? That means recycling, reusing materials. That's only going to be more important going forward.
Right, right. So those skills are in high demand.
Exactly.
Okay, so someone's listening to this and they're like, all right, I'm sold. This sounds pretty cool, actually. What should they do? Where do they even begin?
Well, RoleCatcher is really good for this. They don't just describe jobs, they give you the tool to actually go after them. They have this massive database of interview questions,
Mm-hmm.
like over 120,000 of them.
Wait, seriously,
Oh, it's
120,000?
no joke. But it shows how seriously they take this,
Yeah.
They want to make sure you're ready for anything an interviewer might throw at you.
That's wild. So you're not just walking in there blind.
Exactly. And they're not all, like, super technical questions either. We're talking safety stuff, teamwork, problem solving. For example, one of the questions they highlight is, can you describe a time you had to work under pressure to meet a deadline? How did you handle it?
Ooh, good one. Everyone's had to do that at some point, right?
Right. It's not just it's how you deal with those tough situations.
Hmm.
And being able to explain that clearly, that's huge in an interview.
For sure. So it's like, yeah, have the skills, but also be able to talk about them.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher, they give you all the tools to do that. They even have tons of links to other resources, industry groups, training programs, job boards. Basically, if you're serious about this, they've got you covered.
Wow. So it's really like they're giving you the map and it's up to you to go explore.
That's a great way to put it. Now, of course, any job's going to have its tough parts, right? Briquetting machine operation, it's no different. RoleCatcher's upfront about it. It can be physically demanding, the environment, maybe not super glamorous.
Right. Lots of industrial settings, I imagine.
Right. Loud noises, maybe a little dusty.
Yeah.
It's not going to be for everyone. But if someone likes working with their hands, enjoys figuring things out, and cares about sustainability, it could be a really rewarding career path.
Yeah, I think we've definitely established that. It's way more than just, well, what I pictured when I first heard the name, that's for sure. We've talked about the technical side, the career possibilities, even those all-important soft skills.
We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, for sure. We really have. It's kind of amazing, actually, when you think about it. We started off with this job title, Briquetting Machine Operator. And I'm not going to lie, at first I was like, huh.
Yeah, I don't think it's at the top of too many people's dream job lists, at least not initially.
Right. But look at us now. We're talking sustainability, career paths, the future of manufacturing, the whole 9 yards.
It just goes to show, you never really know where a little curiosity might lead.
Speaking of which, weren't we going to talk about some related career paths? Like, if someone's hearing all this and thinking, okay, maybe briquettes aren't my thing, but this kind of work.
Oh, yeah. RoleCatcher actually has a whole section on that.
Cool. So, like, what are we talking? Give me an example.
Well, there's the more, I guess, obvious route. becoming a scrap metal operative, sorting and processing all kinds of metal. But it can get more interesting than that, too. You could become a metallurgist, even.
Wait, really? Those are the people who study metals, right?
Mm.
Figure out their properties, how to work with them.
Exactly. And think about it. Someone's been working with briquetting machines for a while. They've seen how different metals react under pressure, how they melt, all that stuff.
Right, they've got like that practical experience.
Exactly. Combine that with some formal education, and they could have a real advantage in that field.
Huh, never would have thought of that. But it makes sense. They've got this whole other level of understanding that you can't get from just, reading a book.
Exactly. And then there's industrial engineering, designing and optimizing industrial processes.
So you could go from operating the briquetting machine to like designing the entire factory floor. That's kind of cool.
Right. And again, think of the experience you'd bring, knowing how the machines work, how everything flows.
You'd be like, excuse me, I actually have some experience with how this really works.
Exactly. That kind of insight is so valuable.
It really highlights something we were talking about before, being adaptable, having all these different skills. That's huge these days.
Absolutely. And, it's not even just about having options. It's realizing you can keep learning, keep growing. What you learn in one job, that's not the end. It can be like a stepping stone to something even better.
I love that. So somebody out there is feeling inspired right now. What should they do?
Well, I always say research is key. RoleCatcher is an awesome starting point.
Yeah.
There's a ton of other stuff out there, too. Industry magazines, professional groups,
Right.
even online forums.
Yeah.
Connect with people who are actually doing this work, ask questions, learn from them.
Be proactive.
Exactly.
So we've covered a ton of ground here. If you had to pick just one thing you want our listeners to walk away with today, what would it be?
Honestly, don't underestimate your own curiosity. We started with, a kind of weird job title.
Yeah.
But we let ourselves be curious, we asked questions, we made connections, and look where we ended up. That's something everyone can do in any field.
So true. You never know what you might discover. And on that note, we'll let you all go out there and do some discovering of your own. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.